Hey toy fans, Aaron here. Today taking a look at the Attack of the Clones version of the Tusken Raider. This was released on the Phase 2 part of the Saga Collection and came out in 2003. Card back looks pretty nice with the blue starry background. A lot of rays of light shining from behind the action figure inside of that blister. And then at the bottom you do see the photo of the Tusken Raider from Attack of the Clones along with the name of the movie and then his name and Tatooine Camp Ambush. On one side of the blister, you have the number 6, which is his place in that line, and then his name along with Collection 2. Right side of the card, same thing, you got the number and his name. This time, though, you're getting the includes, which you're getting his gaffy stick and the fire pit base. Back side of the card, top part, you got a paragraph right up about 10 years after the fight to save Naboo, so basically setting up Attack of the Clones. Below that, his name, year of release and number on the line, along with a pretty lengthy write-up about the Tusken Raiders. You got an image off to the right of the action figure. Towards the middle third of the card, you're going to have a couple photo shots of the action figure that you're getting. And then towards the bottom of the card, you got 3 other figures that were also available in the line at the time. And now taking a look at them out of the packaging, overall, it's an okay figure. Definitely has some problems. For starters, this is the best stance you're going to get with him. There is 0 leg articulation, which is unfortunate. Now, don't get me wrong, he still does manage to stand up just fine without the base, but it is aided by the fact that his cloak drapes down farther below his feet. So you can't really get him to stand up straight. There's no maneuvering you can do with the feet to help change that pose or anything. So it kind of just is what it is. But like I said, at least he can still remain standing. Head sculpt looks fantastic for a Tusken Raider. You got some great detailing in the sculpt of the head wraps. Nice brown coloring to them. Silver spikes sticking out of the top of the head are looking good. And the mask sculpting for the front of the face also looks just fine. And you have a very nice paint job to go along with it. One fun action feature for this figure is the head is removable, intentionally. It is simply held on by magnets. I will say it's not the strongest hold. The slightest bump will knock it off, but as a playability feature, I think it does work out just fine. As for the remainder of the sculpting, looking at the upper half, the Saga line definitely was more action-oriented. In some cases, you still came out with a pretty decent figure if you didn't want to pose him in the action stance that they wanted. In this case, unless you're posing him with his gaffy stick, you're just still ending up with an awkward-looking figure. He's meant to be holding that stick, and any other way you try to twist his arms just comes out looking pretty weird. Detailing to the sculpt that you're getting, though, I do think through the arms looks great. I love the ruffles and folds being sculpted into that plastic for the draping of his robes. Painting for the gray wraps coming from under his sleeves to the hands looks pretty nice. And I like the fabric texturing that has been sculpted within the robes. Coloring for the sleeves looks nice. Getting a little bit of an off color as you get to the removable cloak portion of this. It is just a little plastic shell that can slide out from his arms. It would certainly look pretty awkward without it. So that's just the way this figure was manufactured. It's not an intentional removable cloak. Sculpting for the upper chest looks great. I don't mind the coloring here of his inner robes. It's still looking relatively like a light tan color. The sculpting for the little, a breathing piece or something from around the neck looks nice. Good silver paint job, tan color in the middle there. The belt looks fabulous. Great detailing within that sculpt. And then as we move down to those lower robes, it gets this weird light pink color and then transitioning to that tan color at the bottom. Not really a fan of that. Seems pretty off. I don't know if they were trying to go for it being dirty or something. Just doesn't play well with matching up with the rest of the figure. And then down at the bottom of those robes, which still do have some nice sculpting within that to give some drape and some movement to that sculpt. But you will find his feet sticking out from the bottom where you have a very nice sculpt for the wraps that are making up the shoes. As for articulation, things are pretty limited, but since the head is removable and just held on with a magnet, you only can achieve a full swivel. Each shoulder does swivel all the way around, both elbows swivel, and both wrists swivel. And then all you have left is a full rotation at the waist. As for accessories, you've got his gaffy stick and that fire pit base. Starting with his gaffy stick, detailing to the sculpt looks very nice. You can certainly make out some of the wood grain in the handle. Nice brown color to that. And then silver painting for the tip of the blunt end of his weapon. And then at the spiky end also. I will say this is a pretty short weapon. The only double-handed pose you're going to achieve is what you see here. Otherwise, it's kind of over the head kind of stuff or holding it down below. And then that fire pit base, I will say kind of a highlight of this release. Sculpting looks really good. You've got a good imitation of the Tatooine ground. Nice sand color to it and some kind of dirt wash applied, light gray dirt wash I would say. As for the fire pit, certainly looks like you would expect a campfire to look like. Some sticks sculpted in. And I like the red and yellow plastic fire fire that's sculpted inside there. Light catches it pretty well, gives you a decent little sparkle of flame. Certainly drop an LED light in there or something and give it a little added punch. 2 pegs on the base for the figure to stand on, and then you have the clip on one side where you could attach it to another base, and a raised part on the other side to accept the clip from another base. So overall for me, like I said, it's pretty much a mixed bag. It's not the worst figure in the world. It is a fun figure to look at for what it's meant to be, which is an action figure getting ready, I'd say, to attack. But in this case, he was kind of being more in the defensive position. But it achieves what the Saga line was after, which was your more action-oriented figures. Unfortunately for this one, it just makes him a bit more limiting in what you can do with him if you don't want him in that particular pose. And I will say the removable head being held on by magnets was a fun added feature too. I like that in some of the other figures that they did. So that's going to wrap this one up. Definitely let me know what your thoughts are on this figure in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.